Is there anyone on Frank's latest trade targets board who stands out to you? Frank Seravalli dropping his updated list. We're a month and 4 days away from the trade deadline. It's basically, it'll be 4 weeks on Friday. So 4.5 weeks away. Frank has some new names. In the top 5, there's Casey Middlestad. I think we can both agree that's not really a fit for the Oilers.
No, but it's funny how him and Byram are both on this list.
Pretty funny, yes. Seth Jones, 5 more years, $9.5 million.
No, thank you.
No.
Purely salary. I think on a good team, he could be much better.
I actually think some team's going to take a chance on him and be very happy with what they get because you're going to get him for a prayer.
Is he a left or a right shot?
Righty.
If Dallas had just waited the weekend,
well, that's what I mean.
They would have seen him on Frank's list.
Seattle has 2 new names on the list. Oliver Bjorkstrand, who I think is too pedestrian for my liking. He scores, but that's about all he does. I don't like him.
That's not a bad thing.
Yeah, but $5.4 million for 1 more year, I have no interest in him.
Okay, I have a plan.
Okay. Jamie Alexiak might become one of my guys. And I want to dig into it a little bit more because he's having a down year, and I want to know why he's having a down year. Like, is it because he is playing bad, or is it because the Kraken are having another poor season? But when you go look, and I got a piece up coming to the site, Oilersnation.com, about this. His expected goals for percentage. And again, he plays a primarily defensive first role, plays against tough competition, all that stuff. He's at 43% this year. That's terrible. 49% last year, that's okay. Before that, it was a 7-year run where he was 50% or better. If you look at a guy and you think he has more to give if he gets put into a proper spot on a better team, he's got 1 more year at $4.6 million. He has a history of being a good shutdown defenseman. If you're confident in Kulak playing with Nurse on the right side, Alexiak Emberson sounds really nice. Yeah. And Seattle doesn't have a single retained contract on the books, so the idea that you could convince them into keeping 50% or close to it, very tempting.
Yeah, I think it is we are dancing with the same partner, by the way.
Yeah. But you like Bjorkstrand?
I do.
Ugh.
I'll explain.
Ugh.
Klingberg is really thrown a wrench in all of this. I do wonder. I don't know if he's a top 4 guy, but I almost think he's better than what a 7th would be, but I guess that's what depth kind of is in the playoffs when you need it. So I do like the idea of Alexiak. I think he brings something a little bit different to the team. And look, you look at a situation last game where Ekholm is out of the lineup. Mm-hmm. I know Kulak, and we all love him, does a really good job, but I feel like if your left side is then those 3 guys, Nurse, Alexiak, Kulak, like you can survive. I don't know if you could survive in the playoffs if you lost anyone on that left side the way it is right now and you were plugging in Troy Stecher.
Correct.
So Alexiak for me is a good fit. But the reason I like Bjorkstrand is, one, I think he's obviously a very productive player on a Seattle team that is just like not productive at all. In scoring, everyone just scores 15 goals, and it's kind of the standard across the board. But he's always the one that kind of elevates above the rest. And we just talked about with Leary, like you kind of need a guy who just has the instincts to go score goals. And when you look at where all his goals are this season, they're all in the slot and all in the crease. He doesn't create a ton on his own, but that's fine. You don't need him to create on his own. You need him to go and play on Draisaitl's right wing. When you trade Victor Arvidsson to there as well and give him whatever they want for it. And I think that's the way you can kind of get around it is like you get Bjorkstrand because he's 5.4.
I'm not touching that.
I think it could be a
He's
really
Jeff
good ad.
Skinner.
But he's bigger and plays slightly better.
He doesn't play better, and he's not bigger.
I'm in. I'm in on Bjorkstrand. I think that's a really good ad for the team.
I think he would fall out of favor here very, very fast. He's 6 feet. He's not
massive.
big.
That's a big man.
I don't know. You're paying $5-something million for a guy who maxes
who would you be scoring right winger for you then? Left wing. I think the right wing is actually more desperate than...
Yeah, like, again, the idea of acquiring Bjorkstrand when you have Jeff Skinner on the roster and having those 2 signed for $9 million
okay, but we can talk about Jeff Skinner till we're blue in the face, but they just don't want to play him there.
And I'm telling you, if they don't want to play Jeff Skinner there, there's no reason why they would want to play Oliver Bjorkstrand there. They're too close to the same player.
I don't know. I think they're a little bit different. I think it could be something they look at. Like they've done an in-division trade before too, obviously last season with Henrik and Sam Carrick, so I don't think it's too crazy, but I don't hate the idea. If you can move on from Arvidsson too, then that kind of helps you out as well for next season.
If you want to get a guy with 20-goal upside and you're looking to just take a shot, again, you're not probably... Bjorkstrand's expensive. If you get Seattle to keep money, I guess, but then you're paying more for him, just go trade a third-round pick for Goose Nyquist at 50% retained.
Yeah, that's also not a bad idea.
Right? Like if you're looking to get a different mix in there, I think Nyquist, and I believe Nyquist can kill as well. I go get Gustav Nyquist, who comes in at Frank's list on number 13. Bjorkstrand does not kill penalties. So
I don't need him to kill penalties.
I know you don't need him to, but again, like the only way I even remotely contemplate that is if Seattle's keeping $2 million and they're taking Jeff Skinner back, and you're doing this as like a fresh start for Skinner. He agrees to go, and you throw in a pick and get Bjorkstrand. But I don't see that as a fit at all. I don't even hate the player. I just hate the fit in Edmonton. I don't think it works.
So if you were just based off trades last season, if you're just getting Bjorkstrand the most, and you're getting 50% retained, there was guys traded last year for a second round pick and like a fourth or fifth. Mantha was one of them. Tarasenko obviously a little bit different. Tyler Toffoli was another guy.
Also,
but it's not that expensive.
If you're giving me a choice, if you're saying it's a second round pick on the board and you can get one of Alexiak or Bjorkstrand for 50% retained.
Oh, then I'm picking Alexiak.
Picking Alexiak all day, and they can't afford both.
Unless they retained on both. Last season, that Henrique deal was twice retained on both.
Didn't have term. Didn't have term.
That is fair. I think it's interesting. I wonder about him.
What's up, Nation citizens? If you like that video, then you need to be subscribed to the Oilers Nation YouTube. Podcasts, live shows, exclusive interviews, and analysis. Everything you need from your favorite voices at Oilers Nation. And you don't want to miss any of it, so hammer that